Lorraine, I've been so excited to speak to you. You've kept me waiting for a whole day.
I know.
Like,
Well, I had to go and do the shopping.
well, filling those covers is really important. Really important. So
It is.
Finally, you've moved to Melbourne in
We have.
Victoria, and
Yes.
I'm still not allowed to see you.
I know.
It's so not
Hopefully
fair.
soon. I was hoping when you came back from the UK, we'd be able to go and do that, the trip, but
Yeah, anyway.
we'll just have to wait. Doesn't matter.
I came back from the UK and it was slam the door, you're in bloody quarantine.
You're in quarantine.
Haven't been able to.
Which for you, Mr. Extrovert, would be very hard.
I'm dying. Like I'm spending most of my time, like I think I've spent the entire day on the phone and on chats and
well, that's why I rang you. I thought I've got to see how Steve. Oops, I just lost you there.
No, I'm here.
There we go. No, I lost you. I accidentally hit something. Yeah, that's why I thought today I have to ring Steve and see how you're doing.
You're so awesome. You're so awesome. So tell me, what's been happening in the world of zoo photography and Lorraine?
Yeah, so we've actually been pretty good. We have been getting Melbourne off the ground and it has been really good. We are still getting inquiries for Brisbane, which is also really good because we do still obviously go.
So for people that don't know, Lorraine has moved the business from Brisbane to Melbourne. This was because of lust, wasn't it?
I'm a Melbourne girl, so although I love
It's
Brisbane,
lust, Lorraine. Just admit it. It's got.
it was never going to be permanently in Brisbane. We were always going to bring it back to Melbourne. We do have a bit of a presence here in Melbourne as well. So, and the population and the opportunities were slightly more in Melbourne. So we figured, bring it back to Melbourne, but still do Brisbane as well.
But what's exciting is that you've maintained your presence in Brisbane, I think through Facebook, and you've just come back from, well, you were in Brisbane while I was in the UK. How did that go?
That went really well. We did have, so we had 21 that were booked, but we did have 3 reschedules before, one happened, or 2 actually happened while I was up in Brisbane, and one happened just before I left. The day I was at the airport, and she rang me and left me a message because obviously I was on the plane and couldn't answer my phone, and said, "I'm really sorry, but I need to reschedule." Both her and her husband are in the Defence Force, and they were called out. So bit impossible for her to come. And so but her immediate thing to me was, "We don't want to cancel, we just want to reschedule, but can we please look at it when we come back?" And they're not due to come back in about 10 weeks. So it
was a total of 20. How many did you say?
20. We had 21 in total. Okay. And then I had 3 reschedules. So
how often do you go? How often?
Well, February was the first time that we had gone back since moving in October.
Okay.
But we were looking at going every couple of months. So our next one was due to be May. At this stage, it's depending upon how coronavirus and what limitations we may have. At the moment here in Australia, even though there's the travel ban for international, there's not a travel ban for domestic. But at the same token, we need to be mindful and careful as well. So at the moment, we do have tentative dates for May, but everybody is aware that they could change, depending upon what the government says. So obviously we're abiding by the rules of the government.
Yeah. Well, are you finding on the lead up to these trips that you're able to keep people excited about coming up? And
absolutely. And the biggest thing that I can stress is staying online and keep offers going. Keep what you said earlier. Don't assume people can't afford it. They will tell you if they can't, and of course compassion and empathy and all of that goes all round.
So what have you got online at the moment then? Are you
doing at the moment? So we did, funnily enough, with everything that's been going, technical issues have been our issue at the moment. So we are getting online. There are several things that we're doing. One is an online competition. Yep. So like I have always done, and which we do get quite good results from. We've been focusing more on Melbourne than Brisbane because Brisbane already know. However, we do have it for both states.
Right.
We are also I've been reaching out to previous clients, asking them, especially ones that I've known who have said to them, oh, we might be back, you know, in the future, or they may have had a new puppy.
But this is one thing that I really want to bring up, because it's one thing that people are very resistant on in contacting past clients. And this is probably the perfect time for those people that haven't done so yet to start tagging and putting flags and tasks up and reminders. So then that way, when people say they might be coming back, we're contacting them or flagging them, like putting a tag on that you know, says something about potential, you know, future client, or
absolutely
wants a return booking.
Absolutely.
So you've been contacting them, which is awesome.
Yeah.
What's been clients' reactions?
They've actually been really, really good. They've been, you know, really happy to hear from us as well. We've had quite a number who have said to us, oh, I've been meaning to call you, you know, and we have still booked people in.
Hey, that's so awesome. Yay. So you've been making bookings?
Yes, we have. I actually have a booking.
Are they paid bookings, Lorraine?
Yes, they are. They are. I actually have a booking for Melbourne on Monday.
Okay, that's fantastic.
So she's actually a return client, and she was actually one who I had called just before Christmas. I had called them and spoken to them. Her daughter actually first called me, and they now have a new puppy who is actually 1 year old, but they wanted to have them booked in because they've got their other 2 dogs up on the wall, but they don't have a new puppy. So, and she was happy. Look, we have taken precautions in the studio as well. You know, everything is sanitized and cleansed and cleaned, and everything is like that. I posted it on C4 not long ago about vet grade F10. You know, that goes all around the studio, all on my gear and everything. We even spray the dog when they come in. So,
really?
Yeah, it's pet friendly. It's what vets use in vet clinics and shelters. It can be bought online. There is a little shortage here in Australia at the moment, but you can still get it. And you can get it in the US. I know the lovely Ellen just recently bought some, and she actually was even lovely to see if I needed any more to send me some, but I'm fine for the moment. But I highly suggest anyone. You can actually,
hands with that
yes,
as well?
it is safe to actually use on ourselves. So it is a disinfectant, but it is a vet grade disinfectant. It kills germs. Like it's what helps kill parvovirus in dogs. So parvovirus is deadly to dogs and puppies, and they can die from it if not looked at soon. But you can actually, it's safe for humans and pets. It's safe for birds, although do be careful if you do have birds, because some birds can be sensitive to it, but it is friendly to them. But you can use it on your gear. Like I spray all my gear with it all the time. I clean my lenses with it.
Wow. You have gone to the extreme. That's awesome.
We always have. This wasn't new. I've used F10 for years now. I've used F10 ever since I've been doing pet photography. Right. You only need a little bit. So it's like, it's one capful. It's like 2 mils to every 1 litre of water. And you only need a little bit. So a little bit, a lot will go a very long way.
Awesome.
It is a bit expensive. Like, you know, you can buy them in different sizes, but a 200 ml bottle here in Australia is about $40, 30 or $40 Australian dollars.
If it saves lives, I don't think that's very expensive.
No, I normally buy it in a 1 litre, and a 1 litre is usually about $120, but that 1 litre usually lasts me a year.
Right. Well, that's not expensive.
Yeah.
Then.
So it's not expensive. No,
At all.
Not.
Not expensive.
No. So, yep, they know that and the studio, you've seen our studio, it's big enough to have the 2-meter rule.
You can have a 10-meter rule in that studio.
Exactly. So they're very happy to, I spoke to them actually on Friday and yesterday, and they're excited to come. They're looking forward to it. They know that there's no hugging or anything, which is very hard because they're also Italian and I'm, got background but we're respecting that.
So awesome. Awesome. So they're all excited. So how have bookings been going? Are you still, I know that you said you're making bookings, but are you finding that, you can only really have so many people?
Look, we have been, the inquiries still do keep coming in and people are still asking, and people are still wanting to. We've had, from the inquiries that we've had in the past week, I've had 10 inquiries, and from the 10 inquiries we've got 4 bookings. It's not that the others aren't booking, they are happy to book, but they want to just wait until there's a confirmed date. But people are still paying for their sessions, so they're still paying their session fees.
So they're still committing to having a session by paying for that. Have you offered gift certificates to these people?
Yes.
That maybe if they are excited about wall art and you have got them through that visualization period and then through the visualization pyramid and then the product pyramid, have you got them to a place where they're happy to prepay for
yes
the wall art?
And actually when I got off the phone with you earlier today.
Oh, great.
I actually had a phone call from a client who I had actually spoken to last week. He has not previously booked with us. He actually saw one of our posts online, on Facebook and Instagram, and he called up wanting to buy a gift certificate for a friend. It's a couple who have just got married who absolutely adore their dog, and their dog was actually part of their wedding ceremony.
Oh, wow.
And so they wanted
to... is normal for a lot of people.
Oh, exactly. And they wanted to buy a gift certificate, but they wanted to actually buy a product for them. So they wanted to get something for them that they could get artwork out of it. So they didn't just want to get a certificate to cover a session or anything. They ended up getting a $1,650 gift certificate.
Yay, Lorraine!
Which and he even said to me, if they want anything more, they can get it themselves, but we'd like to give that.
I'm just in awe that every time we seem to bring something up, or every time I talk to somebody about something, there must be some mystical unicorn, something pixie dust that seems to fly out at people. And I don't know, somehow those opportunities open up.
They are still there. Yes, it is uncharted territory for us all. And yes, it is uncertainty, but I think people do still want to buy. And I think it's an opportunity to offer a payment plan, maybe offer it have an artwork, have a specific artwork that you might, choose that people can pay off, but we know they will buy more than that when they have their session and after they've had their discovery calls. We know that, that will happen.
But also right now, cash flow is king. And to get some cash flow coming up and for people to pre-buy right now, it's going to keep a lot of businesses afloat. This really does rely on those discovery calls and making sure that the discovery calls are really done properly, that we've focused on the emotion, that you're layering the questions, you're getting people into that place where they honestly believe that they're going to want artwork from you.
Exactly.
It's only going to happen if we make the calls and if we are really focused on what matters to them.
And another thing that happened was I did post about this the other day, but I have since spoken to the person.
Before you move on.
Sorry?
Well done. Before you move on. Well done. That's so awesome that we had a conversation today and you took action. You actually heard that opportunity and you took action, like Lorraine. That's awesome. Well done.
Thank you.
Well done.
But we did also get Mwah. We did also get a call from a post or from a comment that I made on a business page. It was a business page for I'm a business owner in Victoria, Australia.
Yep.
And this woman she has 2 dog grooming salons and a pet store. And I am now in the process of getting artwork ready for her shop front. And she does want to have a session herself, and we will get that booked in, but she's a potential alliance, and she's one that, you know, I'm nurturing, and it all from a post. All from just a post, a comment.
I think now a lot of small business, particularly your community small businesses, are going to be a lot more willing and open to having those conversations to start some alliances. And I loved Debbie's idea of that. What did she call it? She called it a price match.
Yes.
So,
and I took that as well, and I actually approached the hotel where I was staying in Brisbane, and I actually approached a pet-friendly hotel here in Melbourne, in Paran.
Right.
And we have come together to do, both of these properties they're obviously pet friendly, but also they have a restaurant. So we've taken it where if anyone spends money in either they stay a night or whatever they spend their money on, I will price match to $300 in a gift certificate.
They'll get a gift certificate up to the value of.
Yep.
That's awesome.
I chose $300, which, but you know, as you know, most people will always spend. Once we do the discovery calls, once we do everything, they'll usually spend.
They always spend.
Yeah. Exactly. And I've taken it.
Well, I mean, if you weren't sure that people would spend, you wouldn't be jumping on a flight and going to Queensland, would you?
Exactly. Exactly.
And I know you do really well out of those, so it's.
We do, but I think, and yes, we do obviously have the presence in Brisbane, but it's also doing the calls, talking to people, finding out all of those things as well.
Yeah. Following the process.
Yeah.
Pretty much. That's a win on both cases. That's so awesome. So your marketing's still working, you're still booking people are happy, people are paying for their bookings, and they're pre-buying wall art.
Yes.
Which keeps the cash flow going.
Correct.
Lorraine, this is this is perfect.
I refuse to give up, Steve. I've worked too long and hard like most of us. And yes, this is yes, I have my days. You know, there are frustrations that go through the roof, and yes, there's like freaking coronavirus, you know, but I refuse to give up, and I refuse to assume that there are not people out there that still want to spend, and I refuse to believe that there are still people out there that want to, when all of this passes, and this too shall pass.
Yeah.
Once it is, you know, I remember when I worked in the travel industry, I saw SARS, I saw swine flu, I saw the Bali bombings, I saw the Ansett collapse here in Australia, all within, you know, months of each other. But I will never forget that domestic travel skyrocketed. So people changed their travel businesses ones who were international travel suddenly created domestic packages and kept the cash flow coming. People who were international, I mean, I worked for corporate, I was flown home from the US because I was living and working in New York, you know, and, you know, we didn't travel. Predominantly all of my clientele that I looked after was all US based. But the innovativeness that came from people in the travel industry, and once all of that had passed, it all skyrocketed, and everyone wanted to go overseas, and everyone wanted to continue seeing families. The same will happen here. I know it's hard. It's hard for me too. Like, you know, I don't have an abundance of cash flow or anything, but it's still there. And I think it's really important to show up to our clients, to show up to people on Facebook, to show up on Instagram. Don't stop the ads. Maybe draw back on them, but don't stop them. Keep your presence, because people won't forget.
I think this is where, you know, during the global financial crisis, my business in particular, we did the most money we ever made because we kept them. We actually boosted the marketing and boosted our presence and boosted all of that. It was different because people were still allowed to leave the house and still allowed to come to us. It's slightly different.
Yes.
But even when I was coaching studios in Christchurch through the earthquakes, people's houses had come down on top of them. People had lost family members. People had lost every single possession they owned, didn't have access to money, but it didn't take long for them and other people around in that country to really start searching for ways of connecting as a family, ways of connecting. It brought a lot of people together. I mean, there were people living in tents for years after that, but they still wanted to replace their artwork. They still wanted
people still
to celebrate their families.
Exactly. And people still want to do things for other people to help them help them.
Oh my God, I got a care pack on my doorstep today.
Oh, that's awesome. I thought that was so awesome.
There was even a toilet roll in there. I'm very excited.
Oh, wow. Hold on to that.
Hold on to that. 2 squares per day. That's all I'm allowed. So I think if we as an industry could come up with some care packs rather than, I think I've seen a lot of people send me stuff that start with, although this has been a disaster, reminding them of all of the disaster. If we start to put together some care packs for people who, after all of this starts to ease, are wanting to reconnect and, they've found something incredible. And we should be starting to connect with our clients, connect with future clients and past clients, and just giving them, ways in which,
especially past clients. I've got a client who was booked when I was up in Brisbane in February, beginning of March. He unfortunately was one that had to reschedule because he got sick, not with coronavirus, but he got gastro, and he is a doctor himself.
Not a good thing to have during these times of toilet paper.
Well, he and his husband, they're both doctors, and he rang me and said, "I'm really sorry to do this, but I'm going to have to reschedule. I'm sick." And I said, "I hope you're okay." And he said, "The toilet's my best friend at the moment, Lorraine. I've got gastro." And I said, "Well, you can keep your gastro in your toilet because I don't want it." But this is a couple who have been to me. This would have been their 7th time in 18 months.
Wow.
So
all of those people that don't remarket to their clients and believe that this is a one-time luxury spend doesn't seem to be happening for some reason.
And most of it, even actually from the 18 clients that I did have booked in Brisbane, it's either 6 or 7, I can't remember exactly, were actually return clients.
Wow. Well, that's still,
I think it was 7. I think it was 7 who were all return clients. And that's from the 18. Had I have had the one there, it would have been, it would have been one more, would have been 8. But he has actually, in 18 months, that would have been his 7th time. He hasn't cancelled. He's just rescheduled until I come back.
So do you feel that they spend, and we've got lots of other people in our membership that are experiencing exactly the same thing, that once they come in once, they want to come back again and again and again because of the experience we give and the way that we do the discoveries. So do you feel as though that there's good spenders every time, or is it sort of like this, how there's that promotion come in every year thing that a lot of people do? It seems to spread out people's spends and do they still spend a good amount of money every time they come in?
From looking in particular at the latest one coming back from Brisbane, where there were that many return clients, I think on an overall scale, if I look at all of them, the return and the spend is usually higher in each of them. There's only with this last one that I had, there were probably 3 clients which they still spent more than what they did last time, but their spend last time was around the $1,200 mark. So they've, rather than spending, they've still spent more, but the more would have been because obviously prices have gone up since they've been back. And these are clients who have been with us, or who had their first, two of them, their first experience was back in 2009.
Okay.
So
But not
I think
expecting to pay the same as what they did.
And we have changed as well. So, and they've, we've evolved and we've created
New products.
Saporito, so
New
exactly.
product.
So even though their spend factor was more, I think it's because things have changed as well. And it's not that they haven't loved the experience. With two of them, one of them was on a disability pension. So for her, she genuinely is, she has limited funds. But having said that, she still spent $1,400 after her gift certificate. So
people can only do what they can do, and people,
correct.
We're not here
like
to force
we
people
never force anyone.
Yeah, it's not about forcing people; it's about giving people the opportunity.
Yeah.
So with this other, let's get back to the other guy. On average, do you know what his average spend is on average?
I sure do. His average spend was $3,100.
Great, over 7. So that's really good.
Yeah.
And 3,100 is where I'm expecting more of an average from you, Lorraine, but
I know, but
but that's great. That's really good. And again, we're here only to allow people to spend as much as they really want to. And it's all about giving them value and allowing them to have the very best experience.
Which they have, and he's looking forward to coming in for his 7th experience.
Awesome. That's so awesome. So what does the next few weeks look like for you? What are your days taken up with?
So we're now that we have the time, there's no excuse. We are still calling everyone.
Right.
We
doing those discovery calls?
Yep, discovery calls.
Right.
For people, obviously I've got my session on Monday.
Do you have people that may perhaps haven't placed orders? And I know it's sort of a rarity for you, but are there those people that potentially you would want to do some virtual sales with? Okay.
Yes. Yep,
so
there are.
That you can do.
There are. There are also people who have actually initially contacted us and who have sadly lost pets, and I know what that's like, but who have they haven't got another pet, but they are wanting to purchase artwork from what they've previously had. And we've had 5 of those actually.
Right.
So, and they haven't got another pet. So, I obviously can't offer them for now, the immediate future, but I have, and I've changed the way I've sort of looked at it, whereby they can purchase a gift certificate if they want, that they can use.
Do you think that because you shared your story, and I know that you lost your baby, and I did try to call you, but anyway.
I know.
It was such a hard time, I get it. That maybe because you shared your story, that it inspired other people to perhaps contact you.
Quite possibly. You know me very well. We've known each other for years now. And I am very, I do believe that as a business.
You're my oldest client.
I know.
Not oldest, but
no, I just didn't. Yeah.
Back in the days. Oh God, I met you at a AIPP thing, didn't I?
We did. Remember that? I remember that. That was in Melbourne too.
10 tips from 10 different
That's right. And I went to that specifically just to see you.
Oh my God. That's awesome. You said hello the minute I walked in the door.
I know. I couldn't wait for you to get off so that I could go up and go, Steve.
That's so good. Awesome. So if you had a couple of tips for somebody right now, what would they be? Give me 3.
3?
Moving forward.
Okay. Continue being online.
Yeah.
Contact past clients and keep in contact with them. If you've had to reschedule bookings, call them, keep in contact, and make sure that you are still exciting them. I think that's really important, especially if you've had to reschedule because of coronavirus.
Yeah.
And my 4th one would be don't give up. Don't give up. I know it's hard, and I have my moments too, and I've had a few over the last couple of days, but I think on the overall scale, this too shall pass, and it's getting through it.
So given that you know the rules, Lorraine,
yes,
we're not allowed to talk about what we know, what we don't do.
That's right.
We're not allowed to talk about what we don't want people to think about.
Exactly.
So if they're not going to give up, what are they going to be doing?
They are going to keep calling clients. I think that is my biggest thing. Keep calling clients, and keep being online. Another thing that I've started doing, and we should be doing it from not next week, the week after, is I have found specialists in different fields. So not just to do with pets, but I've got a vet who is a specialist in parrots and birds. I've got my local vet that I go to. I'm just waiting for him to confirm time with me. And I've got a physician. Mm-hmm. And I've got a local cafe owner, all who we will be doing Zoom meetings for that people can register on, talking about the one with the parrots. We're going to be talking specifically about coronavirus and birds. So he's going to be going through all of the things to be careful of.
Do a lot of your clients not a lot, do some of your clients have those sort of exotic birds or birds that they have photographed?
Yes. Right. Yes. We have a lot of clients who have exotic parrots and also like macaws. We've got quite a few.
I'm making notes, so I still am paying attention.
So our local vet is going to be talking about coronavirus and dogs and cats. And these are all just short little, online meetings for people to register in. But the one thing I think also is important is being a trusted advisor in what you do. So I am calling it a trusted advisor because you're an expert to a degree, but these people are trusted advisors, the vets, the doctors, and the local cafe. The reason I've just gotten them is just to plug a local cafe. So every once they're going to be offering an offer, and we are going to be doing the price match. Debbie's lovely price match. Thank you, Debbie.
The price match thing I think is a brilliant idea. So I love the fact that people are going to have to come back and again and send you those receipts, and that you're going to be collecting data and helping the community.
And if you do that, do it as a Zoom meeting so that people can register, so that you get their details, so that you can then market to them as well.
Well, they need to. You need to be able to track them. So in order for you to track, their receipts and keep in contact with them with Tally, then you need to ask them for their details. Correct. I'm sure people will be fine with that. I need to ask you a couple of questions before we close off.
Sure. Fire away.
A couple of things that seem apparent to me from what you were saying is that given that you're getting an increase in the people that are coming back and buying more artwork of their dogs that have passed, and I honestly believe that that's probably been spurred because of you sharing your own story. Mm-hmm. Would you be okay with, in your online presence, sharing some of those stories about those people?
Absolutely.
And what those dogs meant to them? Because right now, if you could keep a momentum going for those people who have their dogs that have passed, that have considered purchasing additional artwork, that maybe would want to come back. This is, again, a way of keeping cash flow going. You could do Zoom sessions for them and keep your cash flow going because you're selling shoots that you've done previously.
Yes.
First thing. The other thing is, just to ask you, do you have somewhere in your database where you are recording the dogs' birthdays and the dogs' ages? You are.
Yes,
okay. So you're sending the dogs' birthday cards?
Yes, we are.
Great.
We actually send them a little doggy bone.
Right.
We send them a little doggy bone biscuit, I should say.
Right. So just making sure that all this is kept going, because I think a lot of people stop all of this because they're trying to cut all of their expenses. But what they don't realize is that it's too expensive not to do this, because realistically, one shoot out of all of those birthday cards
Well,
And
I
reminders.
had a client just yesterday, actually Friday, who sent me a beautiful email because she'd received her birthday card. And she took a photo of her birthday card, and she has actually posted it on her line and on her Facebook page and tagged me. But she has, when I say me, Zoo Studio, but she also sent me an email with her card and saying, I can't believe you remembered, like, you know, thank you so much. And I love the photo on the front. And it was one of her favorite photos. And you know, it's her dog with all the balls around her. And
So,
yeah, so people do remember those little things. People do, it is in their minds.
that's
I
so,
think if we stop it, people will forget. If we don't forget people, people won't forget.
yeah, I agree. That's awesome. I think that's a great almost place to finish. Thank you. You've been
Awesome.
you've been so awesome, Lorraine. Thank you so much for all your
Thank
time.
you. Awesome, Steve.
And for staying in the group and sharing. You're always in there sharing, you're always in there inspiring people. And I love the fact that when you need help, you just come in and ask for it. So stay in C4,
Awesome.
keep inspiring everybody. I love you.
And thank you. Love you too, Steve.
Thanks, Lorraine.
Bye.
Bye.